Hello, everyone. My name is Adrian-John, and welcome to the Adrian-John Podcast, where I chat with the community tackling topics such as business, events, challenges, fears, accomplishments, and much more in effort to inspire. Today's guest is senior producer / host at Elevate El Paso, photographer, entrepreneur, Gold Corner president, El Paso's very own Caleb Lara. But first, let's get to the intro. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Mr. Adrian-John, it is a pleasure to be here, brother. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for being on. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So I'm going to give you the floor for a second just so you can do a little introduction of yourself there and what you have in store and what you have got going on.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, as you said, Caleb Lara. I am the producer at Elevate El Paso, a TV show meant to raise quality of life. And it airs every Sunday at 8 a.m. on the CW. There is a Spanish version of it that airs through TV Azteca and through Televisa. And aside from that, there is Elevate Media, a marketing agency that I also am spearheading, luckily, thank God. And I've been privileged enough to serve as the president at the Gold Corner Foundation, a nonprofit that is dedicated to helping families that are fighting childhood cancer. In regards to what's going on, well, the most immediate thing would be every Sunday at 8 a.m. CW. And of course, the gala, November 11th, we have the gala, our first annual gala for the Gold Corner, where we're going to have boxing legend Eric Butterbean Edge. He's going to come down and be our keynote speaker. And we expect to have many local entrepreneurs, doctors, politicians, and people that are really looking to get involved with the community. There's also several combat sports celebrities that are probably going to be doing some appearances. So we're talking about the Gold Corner Gala, November 11th, and this is going to be at Grace Gardens.
Awesome. So November 11th at Grace Gardens, be there. Everything's going to be all good there. We got, you said Butterbean, right?
Yes, sir. Butterbean Edge.
All right. So tell me a little bit about how you got involved with the Gold Corner.
That's interesting. So the CEO, Joel Ojeda, the founder of this is Mia Ojeda. Mia Ojeda passed away when she was 3 years old. Her father and I have been friends since we were kids, teenagers, really. And for a long time, I know that this was something that had been on his mind, and we had debated about it. About a year and a half ago or so, we decided, I told him, just go for it. I'll back you up in everything I can. We started out with the YouTube channel. I managed it, started editing, and it started out as something really small, a platform for those that have gone through it or are currently going through it could have a way to express themselves. And it slowly evolved into what it is now, to where we're now being able to help out the families, both financially, in transportation, and as well as in service dogs. But my involvement with this came through my friendship with the CEO, Joel Ojeda, and that's basically how it all got started.
I gotcha. Definitely. That's I looked into it. I saw some of the YouTube videos, and I think that speaks a tremendous amount of character of what you're doing. And
thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's a beautiful thing, and to see that you're helping others tell their story and helping the families and the children that are going through that. That's we need a lot more people like you in the world, because it's very touching. It's beautiful. We'll make sure that we put up some links and to see, to send that information out to people who maybe want to contribute or want to help out in some way. But that's awesome, man.
Thank you so much. It is a very rewarding thing. It is something that's a lot harder emotionally than I really expected, but it is something that is at the reach for everybody to do. There is really nothing special about what I'm doing. It's something that all of us have access to. I mean, just being able to donate will be able to directly help some of these families, being able to assist not just our foundation, but any of the foundations out there. In reality, the us being involved in setting up the platform, that's really all we did. There's nothing more special about us than anyone else.
Gotcha, gotcha. The so a little bit about um some of your backstory. From what I understand, you you fell in love with El Paso the moment you got here, and I know that we spoke a little bit about how you would be in downtown El Paso staring at some of the buildings. As I mentioned earlier in the intro, that you do photography, and you had mentioned also taking photos of the buildings. I'm very interested in seeing um, what those photos look like, to see that passion come through. And have you ever what's a little bit of the backstory of that from
Well, first of all, Adrian, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about this. I've actually never been able to talk a little bit about my mother or how it was that we got to the United States. I was 5 years old, and we came and migrated through the 1986 amnesty. Uh, she used to sell food, and we used to walk around downtown. She used to go from business to business offering tamales and tortillas, actually. And as a 5 year old holding her hand, I would walk around and just be at awe at the buildings, the Cortez Hotel and all the little Spaniard faces. I would just sit there and stare. And that was my fantasy at the time when we were walking around. I used to tell her, one day I'm going to make a book of photographs of all the buildings downtown. And it wasn't really until about 22 years later that I actually considered myself a photographer. And yeah, that was actually the very first thing that I started to do, go downtown. When I started as a photographer, my first genre was fine art and landscapes, which probably where most people start photography. But I was down there in the cityscapes and that old downtown that most of it isn't like that anymore is what I was capturing. So it was really a great lesson in life to not just be able to come to the United States and get to see a whole new world to me, but also to see my mother work the way that she did, to see her effort, to see her dedication to us. Much of the reason why she would do this selling food, that is because she wanted to make sure that she was with us. And so that going that extra mile and working way harder and above and beyond what most mothers should, just so that she could dedicate that time to us, is something that has marked my life and marked my character.
Awesome, man. So that's I love hearing when there's family involvement, where you, like you said, you were 5 years old, and you had such that childhood innocence, and you're just enjoying the view of the buildings and yourself, and then really realizing when you got older, the sacrifices that your mom was doing to be around you, and that is that's that just shows the character that your mom had, and how much that she valued the time with you. As an adult now, with some of the jobs that I've taken, I've always thought, oh, I wish I could just be with my kids right now or be around. And she instilled that into you, and you were able to still take something from that with photography. So I could only imagine when you took those photos, or if you have any of those, that book around, you look at it and it just probably warms your heart. I know it warms my heart just thinking of it, that you could look at that and it just reminds you of like your mom, like
And,
that's
and it's gotten to the point, or it's always actually been at the point to where not just do those old photographs remind me of that time, but even being downtown. I mean, 40 years later, 35 years later, I'm still downtown and I still look at that Cortez building. And for a split second, I still feel like that little kid again.
Oh, oh man, that's awesome, bro. That's cool. Yeah, there's certain things that can set people off as far as like a smell or a
Oh, yeah.
sound or something, and maybe that's why you're always downtown, huh? We see him on
Yeah.
Facebook or something. He's downtown. Well, he's reliving his childhood right now.
Yeah. 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 They say we always seek what's familiar, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's cool. So how is talk to me a little bit about the Elevate El Paso, what you're doing there. Is it you're a senior producer, you're and a host as well. We see you on there. Looks like you're giving the opportunity to other people just that information and showing people different things that are out there to help one's life be a lot better than as far as like maybe if there's something that they're needed or they're wondering about that. I notice you've had doctors on, different insurance companies or different people that actually try to elevate the quality of life for others that maybe people don't necessarily know about. And you're bringing
Right.
attention to a lot of that. And how did that come about?
Well, the desire to do it was tied into what I feel is my life's purpose, which is precisely that, to inspire, to educate, to try to leave the world a better place. And then I realize it sounds kind of corny, but it is something that I felt was what I should be doing ever since I was a kid. And so whatever it is that I was doing in my labor work, I always somehow try to tie into that. Now, I had been a newscaster, a news anchor, as well as a political analyst at Televisa. And prior to Televisa, I was in a little show in Univision. So I had that experience, and I also had the opportunity to work with a few marketing agencies. So I was able to get that experience as well. When I no longer was with any of those companies and found myself in a spot where I needed to do something for myself, I was able to get that experience of producing and hosting and doing marketing, and again be able to tie it into my purpose, which is to inspire. So that was the whole idea. I believe that the purpose of the program is stated in its name. The whole idea of elevating there's this Jewish concept that we are meant to repair the world. We're meant to make things better than they are while we're here. That's part of our duty. And so our whole experience in life, it has to be something that is somehow going to elevate us and those around us. And so, yes, definitely have doctors, have lawyers, there's insurance. There's also religious figures, and there's also people that nobody really knows but have a story to tell. Mm-hmm. And the idea behind this is that we're able to see different perspectives in all social statuses and be able to get something from that and be able to relate to the fact that no matter where you are, we all kind of deal with the same things. It's just the way we go about it. And so if we're able to somehow, there's something really funny. I know that religion plays a part in your life. And so I'm sure you've noticed that a lot of people want to be able to spiritualize the material. Everybody tells you should be more spiritual. And I feel that, okay, that's good, but I think it would be more effective if we materialize the spiritual. In other words, instead of us trying to raise it, let's just bring it down. And when we bring it down, we will automatically be elevated. And the way we could do this is by trying to personify God, be as godly as possible. Mm-hmm. Now I realize that we're human and that we're not God, but there is that chance of doing the best thing in that situation. Be loving, be forgiving, the standard that we already know, attributes. But to be godly also could mean to have the proper and right answer to something, or or the proper response to a life situation. At the end of the day, when we start to look at things that are beyond our ego, and we start to realize that, yes, 100% we are not perfect, nor are we God, but there is an ability to become better. And if there's an ability to become better, that tells us that we're perfectible. So if we're perfectible, that means that there is that opportunity for us to have that one instant that is perfect. So if we figure out how to continuously have those perfect instances, for that one moment, we're being godly and we're materializing the divine. And if we continue to do our best efforts to materialize the divine, then we will elevate the world. I think it was Mahatma Gandhi that said that we have to be the change that we want to see in the world. And that would be a great way to do it.
Definitely. That is definitely the route to go. Be the change. A lot of people sit and wait for something to happen when you have the ability to make it happen. So I think that is awesome, as far as like just really trying to motivate that positive outlook. And like you said, we're all going through something very similar together. There's already so much that is going on in the world as far as negative things that are going on. Why do we want to build and add to that instead of just helping one another, helping our neighbors, being there for each other, elevate one another? So that's beautiful, brother. The with that being said, what are some things that you've encountered? We spoke about the Gold Corner, a little bit about the Elevate El Paso, and just different things in life that tend to come up as far as obstacles. That's what I wanted to see. What are some obstacles that possibly you've gone through, and some accomplishments, because I know we all face obstacles at some times and we can get discouraged. But with that mind frame that you have, what are some obstacles you face and how did you overcome those?
Obstacles I face would be, I without a doubt, the biggest obstacle I will always face in any situation is going to be myself. There is so many things that I end up shooting myself in the foot on, that I believe the only way that I'm going to be able to progress is if the changes come within myself. Obstacles in regards to the everyday life business. You in this line of work, you lose sponsors and gain sponsors, and it's so nerve-wracking sometimes and frustrating. But at the same time, you do have certain people who always stay with you. Goodwill, for example, has been a sponsor that has been with me the whole time and has supported. I'm very thankful to them. But a lot of the obstacles have been more in regards to, as I look back, there's things that could have been better technically, production-wise, business-wise. But I believe that if I could say one change that would change everything for the better, it would have to be the way that I've handled it. Not that I've mishandled it. It's just that now I look back and it's like, oh, I could have done that better. I think that that there's so much more discipline that could be had. There's such more. Sometimes I tend to hyper focus on certain goals and then forget about the rest. And so that in itself, work has also been something that has been molding me as a person.
Right. So like some of the obstacles have actually helped grow you as an entrepreneur and as just in life itself. Some of those, when you meet up or you're going against something, sometimes you need it a little bit so it could better yourself for the future. And then you look back on it, like you said, and you're like, well, I could have done. And then that's when you really realize that, hey, well, you know what you could have done now, and that you know, hey, that you've grown. And I think
Yeah.
that's awesome to hear that, because sometimes people are afraid to maybe take that leap of faith or take that step because they're so focused on maybe perfection. And
Mm.
really it's just, hey, you'll get it, but you need just to take that leap of faith, and eventually you'll get better as time persists, and you'll grow, with that time being.
Yeah, I believe there's a lot of fear of making a fool out of yourself. And I mean, now in the age of social media, I think that fear it's hyperbolic now. So that is part of what stops people. Fear of failure seems to be something that terrifies people. And who was it? Carnegie, I believe, that said that if you want to be successful, you got to hurry up and fail. I mean, failure is part of success, and it's part of life. And when we talk about struggles and obstacles, failures, it's only a failure if you stop there. If something goes wrong, but you continue to do it to the point that you got it right, then it was never really a failure. It was a lesson. You obviously rectified something. So when it comes down to business and the experiences that you have dealing with clients, dealing with hosts, dealing with audiences or other businesses, when it comes down to being a father, when it comes down to being a son, when it comes down to all of the different roles that we get to play in life, we're going to face obstacles and we're going to face adversity on them. And the only way that that's going to stop is if we learn that one lesson. And I believe that it's not so much that it makes me a better entrepreneur. It makes me a better person overall. And once we worry about making ourselves a better person overall, then we become a better entrepreneur, a better father, a better son, and so on and so forth. I truly, truly believe that we are meant to face adversity. I mean, it's part of the reason why we are here. That's why a lot of the religious mythologies call this realm the fallen earth, because this is where we get all that psychodrama. We are not in a perfect state. We're perfectly imperfect. And so therefore, if we're meant to face adversity, then we should try to figure out why. And the only reason that I could see is growth and evolution. So if we want to stop facing a particular kind of adversity, then we should probably try to focus a little more on why we continue to face that same thing. It's I heard a quote from Carl Jung not long ago, and I don't want to massacre it, but it was something along the lines of when there is unconscious paradoxes that we don't externalize or that we don't integrate, they will externalize and we will recognize them as faith. In other words, when we keep living situations that we keep telling ourselves, why do I always end up in here? Or why do I always live the same thing over and over again? And we see it like it's faith, like, why does this happen to me? Carl Jung says that there's very likely unconscious contradictions that we have. There's beliefs that we hold on to unconsciously that are contradicting themselves. And then we try to act on one, and then we find that the other's missing, and we find out ourselves unsatisfied. And so a lot of that growth that we get from business, from relationships or attempts at relationships, a lot of that is going to come down to what we did with the adversity that we faced there. Did we recognize those contradictions within ourselves? Can we externalize them and recognize them? I mean, that's what the whole concept of shadow work is all about, integrating that monster and being able to grow from all of these seemingly negative things. But one of the things that I've realized is that the darkest moments end up being what brings the best gifts. So it's easier when you see it this way to be able to survive those dark moments, to know that, okay, well, if it's this bad, I'm probably going to be that much better once I get over it. Let's hurry up and get over it. Some things are harder than others to get over, but that's the idea.
Definitely, definitely. There's so many little phrases that I hold on to. You mentioned it before, as far as we create this own fear ourselves. And I heard some phrases as far as like, don't ever sacrifice what you could be for what you are now. And that really, that really just helps me escape as far as the normal thinking of how I would go approach things. And, sometimes I'm like, oh, what are they going to think? But in the end, it really doesn't matter what people think, as long as I'm not intruding in their personal space or affecting them in a way. If I want to be a certain way, or yell and sing or whatever, however way I want to be, like, I want to be like that. I want to do that. I want to break out the shell. But then I'm sitting here just thinking of all the stuff. So I think of that. Don't ever sacrifice who you can be or who you could be for who you are now. Because who you are now, you want to be better later. And like, we search for that perfection, or we want to be the best we can. I always say I never want to reach my best, because I want to be able to get better the next day. The moment I reach my best, then it's like, okay, well, now what? I'm there, but I don't ever want to be. I can't be complacent with where I'm at. I always want to just grow, And I've talked to a friend too as well, and I've had some times in life where I'm searching for that perfection, and I don't want to do things or release certain things that I'll create something. A friend of mine, he would do the same thing. We're like, oh, but then we don't ever want to release it because it's not perfect. But another thing that kind of helps me, another saying was completion before perfection, which it just hits me like, hey, if it's good enough, put it out, because the next time you do it, you're going to learn from that and you'll be better again. So all these little sayings I latch onto are like, hey, like, it's not going to do the world any good if I'm just holding on to it. If I really want to try to impact and help someone, like, let me show them. I don't mind being vulnerable, showing my mistakes, my flaws, or anything like that, because that's authentic, And I'll get to the point where everything is very polished. But even then, I'm sure, we're our worst critic, even then I'm like, well, I could have done that, or I could have done this, or, Are there any phrases or anything that hit you or you grasp onto that really kind of motivate you?
Oh man, yeah. Success is not getting there, but taking a definite step towards your goal. Napoleon Hill. Jesus at some point turns around and says, "Don't ye know ye are gods?" That's in John, I think, in Psalms 82. Again, my favorite phrase would be, "We are not perfect, we are perfectible," and that's a phrase from a Masonic liturgy. There is, you got to be a master of one. So that was Ben Franklin that said that. So the whole idea of Ben Franklin was to be this Renaissance man, and the idea was that you were supposed to be able to talk about everything and know a little bit about everything and specialize on one thing. And I think that modern times has lost that. I think we've kept the specialization part, but lost the being able to talk about everything. And so that phrase sticks in my mind. I can't think of a whole lot more. Probably will be thinking of them all throughout the night, though, but definitely have those always constantly in my mind. A lot of them that are always also constantly in my mind are not so much phrases, but more like the Hermetic principles. There's before there is an action, there has to be a cause. There is a consequence to everything. There's also a talk about as above, so below. So we were talking about earlier about materializing the spiritual. That gives us something where that gives us a phrase that reminds us that our actions here are going to transcend to another realm. So a lot of that also sticks in my mind. Do what thou will shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. That was Crawley. That's a great concept that is very misunderstood. So yeah, a lot of other phrases that aren't so much phrases, but more of book lines, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's where they stick with you and they work for you. And I bring this up because, part of the reasons why I love doing podcasts and talking with people is really getting their perspective on how they choose to interpret or take in certain information, which, I could possibly talk to someone and try to tell them something, but it may not resonate with them with how you put it or how you position it. And that's why I kind of bring up some of the phrases, because I think some of these are going to hit or impact someone and be like, I know that, but now that you say it like that, it really just sticks. Like it really just,
Right.
like I've always said to my friend and just different things like, hey, well, you're done with it. Like, just put it out, man. Like, it's good enough. Just put it out. But like I said, when he said completion before perfection, it just really, like that. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. It just felt, it meant more. And another thing that I think you had mentioned Ben Franklin. I think this was from Ben Franklin, or I'm not exactly sure. I don't want to misquote him, but you were mentioning about people being afraid to fail at one point, and some people will see things as failures. And I remember there was one that it took, I don't know, I'm butchering this, but it took like 1,000 attempts for them to get it right.
Thomas Edison to
Thomas
invent the light
Edison.
bulb
Yes.
took
Yes.
1,000 tries, which is more.
Thousand tries.
I believe I read somewhere that it was a myth because he bought the patent to the light bulb already made. But it's a good story. He was a
Yeah.
great marketing guy. Tesla was
Yes.
a real genius. Edison was a good marketing guy. But yeah,
Well,
the whole idea is that it took 1,000. He said this in a press conference. He said it took him 1,000 times, and they asked him what it felt like to fail 1,000 times, and he said that they asked him that question, and he responded that it took 1,000 tries to get it once right.
yeah,
So
1,000 steps to get
there's
there.
1,000
Yeah.
steps. That's right.
Yeah.
So that I guess is part of that whole idea of being able to lose that fear. I mean, being able to understand that you're going to fail. I mean, if you don't fail, you're not gonna. It's impossible to do everything perfect all right off the bat. So these failures, especially when they hurt, they're gonna really be the ones that polish you up. I mean, the whole concept of polishing. I'm into stones, by the way. I love geology. So we talk about polishing, and I polish stones all the time, and it takes grinding it down. It takes friction, it takes heat, it takes being abrasive. And so to be able to get that shiny stone when it looked ugly, it had to be devastated first. And that's a lot of what life is for us. Unfortunately, we're very hard-headed. I know there's some life experiences that I continuously live, and I see them coming, and I'm like, here it comes again.
Yeah.
So I at some point I'll get it.
No, but what you're doing so far, I really I respect and I love what you're doing with just everything that you're doing. Like, as the
Thank you.
hosting Elevate, the Golden Corner, and like I feel. I think I heard somewhere where I read somewhere where you were saying some of the obstacles there about production or different things that were going on, but it's kind of like you said, polishing the stones up. But you took everything that you were mentioning, about just taking the steps, just doing it. We're not perfect, but we're perfectible. You were saying, right?
That's right. Yeah.
There you go. And you can look back where you've come to see where you're at, to get a better understanding of where you're going to go.
That's right.
And I see that, and I love those stories. I love seeing that. I love seeing someone taking a chance, taking a risk. And you said from the beginning that you wanted to help people, ever since you could remember, and you're doing it. So that is amazing. That's, to me, I'm super happy to have you on, and you sharing and being open about some of these, obstacles that you faced. And it's you're very genuine and authentic with everything you're doing, and I salute you, brother. Like like I said, we need more people like you.
I really appreciate the fact that what you're doing as well is pretty much right along the same lines of what I feel the programs and my life's purpose is. So it really goes right back to you. The fact that you are just getting started out this and you're doing it fearlessly, it's something that I encourage you to continue. I mean, this is going to give platform, and it is going to inspire and educate and benefit a lot of people as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and start wrapping it up. But before then, with everything you're doing right now, where can people reach you at if they have questions, or maybe there's something that they maybe want to contribute to any of the Gold Corner that you're doing? The gala's coming up November 11th, everyone. So make sure you reach out to Caleb. But I'll let him go ahead and let you guys know on where you can reach him at, and I'll make sure to put those in the links.
Sure. Thank you so much. So for the gala is thegoldcorner.org, and you could contact us through there. You have everybody's email there. You also have the gala's information as well as the nonprofits. My personal email for the nonprofit is caleb@thegoldcorner.org. My personal email for the program is caleb@elevateelpaso. If there's anybody who has a story that feels that I should feature, they could reach out to me, send me the information, and we'll look into it for sure. If anybody out there needs marketing services, that's something that we could offer as well. Or if they want to get involved with the nonprofit, the Gold Corner, whether it's volunteering at the organization or through donations or assisting the gala, there's definitely an opportunity to do any of those, and that is at thegoldcorner.org. And awesome. My phone number, if anybody wants to reach out to me, my personal phone number, 915-226-4593. And you could get information to any of that through there.
Awesome, Caleb. Well, I appreciate you being on. Thank you so much. Like I said, man, hats off to you, man. You're doing so much. I wish the best. I will definitely be in touch to see what I can help out with and do my part. But thank you so much again.
No, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity. It's not often that I get to talk about some of this stuff. I mean, even though that I am on TV, it's giving others the platform. So for me to be able to give a little bit of honor to what my mother did to me means a lot to me. So I do appreciate that. And again, I do encourage you, because not just are you giving the opportunity for others to be inspired, but you're also giving me at this moment the opportunity to honor that.
Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
You guys heard it. Oh, man, that was awesome, man. Caleb Lara, we need more people like him. Like I said, he's doing so much. Please reach out to him with any questions or anything that you have. If you wanted to do any type of donations or just have inquiries or questions about the Gold Corner or even Elevate El Paso, I'll go ahead and make sure that I put the links there for you. But thank you again for joining. We appreciate you. We love you all. Thank you so much.